Okay, do a test with the voice. Just say hello, hello.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Yeah.
9, 10.
You have to just remember, just not to relax too much, just a little bit. Okay, my voice is loud, but yours is a bit.
Your voice is definitely loud, yes.
Yeah. Okay, Jane, so now I have to ask you again, because I remember I started the discussion with a question about what was it like to be growing up with a father that was so absorbed in his work, and you began and then you drifted off, we drifted off into so many things, but I'm really curious, like we said, how he did this work piece by piece, slowly, all the time working, using his time for his work, right? So what was he like at home as a father, like there's lots to do, right? Manage the home, to discipline the kids.
When you say early days, what year do you think I should start off?
Whenever you remember, whatever you feel like talking about, if you remember, was he a disciplinarian? Was he distracted? Did he get irritated? Was he, just...
Oh my God. Okay. Very interesting to know how my father treated his children when he was young. All right. Way back when we were in Sri Lanka and we came back in 1948, we landed in Kuantan.
So how were you in Sri Lanka? Because your father was here.
No, we all went to Sri Lanka. We all went to Sri Lanka after the Japanese, occupation of Malaysia. All right, 1946, my father was doing young Malayan as an editor. He served there for 1 year. And then
a newspaper, a journal?
It's a magazine for young adults or children, all right?
Teenagers. Right?
Teenagers, right? Young Malayans, it's called Young Malayans, all right? So it's very interesting because all of us, I think we pay a small token amount to get the paper and distribute to all the schools and various places.
He was an editor or the editor?
Huh?
He was the editor
He
or
was,
one of...
He was the editor.
Was the editor.
And maybe he has got some sub-editors under him. Then 1946, end of 46, we all went to Sri Lanka. He didn't stay long, he was there for only about 3 to 6 months and he came back to continue his work here. We were there and my brother and myself joined Jaffna College as students. Yeah, we were students there. I was in the primary 1, primary 2, all right? And then 1948, we all came back. And when I came back, we went to Kuantan. That's where I started schooling in Malaysia. We came to Singapore from there by boat, and from there we came by boat from Singapore to Kuantan. That time Singapore to Kuantan was the African boat service. Kuantan I was in standard 1, standard 2. Likewise my brother was also there. My sisters were young, very young. Right, 1948, only one sister was there. My younger brother was still a baby. And my other sister who was in the UK was born in 1954. So we were there and my father was preoccupied with all his paperwork. Teaching is one thing, but his paperwork is, I don't know what he was doing honestly. All right?
His books?
His books, with his books, all right? He got pages and pages and...
from your child's perspective, it's just papers everywhere.
And papers and shelves full of files and books of various denominations or whatever it is called, was having it. I didn't understand. I was a little fellow about 8, 9 years old, 7, 8, from that age. So as time went on, things changed. But my mother was a good housewife. Right? She did most of the things in the house. And my father he goes to school, comes back, and is engrossed with his books. So my mother cooks and serves for our lunch and dinner, everything. Evening, my father would take his bicycle and go for a ride around the town and come back. And regularly, he goes to the post office to check for mails. That's his one habit which he does every day.
On the bicycle?
On the bicycle.
In Kuantan now,
In
we still in
Kuantan, we
Kuantan.
were staying in Clark's area, which is, if you go today, it's not, you can't recognize it because it's converted into a Kuantan supermarket or something like that. And you go across the town to the post office. That time the post office was somewhere in the near the market. We used to go there and come back. My mother and myself, we go shopping, not marketing every other day, especially Saturday or Sunday for the week. We go there, buy our food. I had to carry the basket for my mother. There's no car, nothing, right? And
Just one bicycle.
one bicycle. So 1955, my father decided to buy a car. We bought an Austin Cambridge, which cost about $5,000 Malaysian ringgit.
You remember that?
Uh,
In fact, I remember my father also had
my
an
father
Austin
tried
Cambridge.
to learn to drive the car, but he couldn't. He was so nervous and he couldn't do it.
Oh, really?
So my mother
Wow.
learned. She managed to drive, and she had full confidence in herself to drive the car. All right. So since then,
She's the driver.
she's the driver. Wherever we go, she'll take my father and us, if at all necessary, to go visiting or do anything, you know. That is a multi-purpose car. And then, as time went on, ask me another question.
No, just you know the next phase. So as he got older, what I remember is your house in section what's it 14 section what's that called 20
Section 11.
section 11. Oh, that's still section 11. Yeah, near Vedalingam shop. Vedalingam shop and the barber.
We were in Kuantan till 1957. I left Kuantan in 57 to go to Singapore.
Right.
I joined St. Andrew's School, because at that time there was no science subjects taught in Pahang. So my father sent me to St. Andrew's School in Singapore to do science subject. So I repeated my.
So he sent you off in a different direction from himself, right? You became a radiographer, and you worked in University of Malaya Hospital, University Hospital, and a lecturer.
Right.
To the end of your career, you were lecturing in Australia. Is that right?
I was working in Australia.
Working in Australia.
As a diagnostic radiographer, because I didn't go there to lecture. No, but I did my training in Sydney Uni, and I did my master's program and all the things there, and came back to University Hospital where I was lecturing. And I left University Hospital 1996.
96. After Periappa died.
After Periappa died. Because I had a PR to go to Australia in 1989, 89, yes. But my sister already migrated, my other sister in Australia, my brother is in Kuantan. My father refused to move anywhere to Kuantan or Australia or anywhere. So I have no choice but to stay put with my father to look after him. So from the time my mother passed away in 1987, I was with him till he passed away in 1995. All right? Make sure everything's okay for him, because already by the time he passed away, he was 90. So I can't leave him alone and go wherever I want to. Even to go overnight somewhere out of Kuala Lumpur is a bit difficult. I can't just leave him and go. I must stay with him, see. So whatever time I go out, I must come back before midnight or whatever it is. I consider myself, I put my curfew to myself, not my father's work. I put my curfew, I say I must come back before midnight. That's it. And that is part of life in Kuala Lumpur. But early part of Kuala Lumpur, we moved to...
I remember the house in KL, the apartment.
Circular Road.
Circular Road.
See, when we first moved to KL, I was already in Singapore. my mother and my sisters, two sisters, were in Kuantan. My father has come to KL. He was teaching in Rajah School, and then he went to High Street, and then he went to Peel Road Rajah School. Was teaching there before he retired. So my mother was staying in Kuantan for a while. Then my father got a flat in Circular Road, Jalan Pekaliling, presently, and we came and stayed there. In Jalan Pekaliling, one floor was where the two rooms, right? So my mother had one room, and my father didn't have a room. He booked another apartment upstairs.
Well,
Because all his books had been shifted from Kuantan to KL, you see. So all the books were in his apartment. Upstairs apartment. And he alone stays there.
wow.
And only for lunch and dinner he comes down.
See, this is the kind of thing that I was trying to get at, right? I didn't know about this. I don't remember this, but this shows the kind of eccentric concentration on his work, right?
Correct. So this is a bit difficult. So my mother was all right because she had a car. She does marketing, shopping, this, that, and that. And then she comes home, sends the children to school. Right? My mother sent my two sisters to school, to Peel Road Convent and Bukinanas Convent. Oh yeah, my sister was in Brickfields Methodist School. My niece, my younger sister was in Peel Road, and then she went to Bukinanas. So she's the one who takes them around. But so my mother had confidence in driving in Kuala Lumpur that time, because there's not much traffic as it is
Still,
today.
not many ladies driving at that time, no? Not many.
No. Then that was when we were staying in the flat. Then in 1968, when I came back from UK after my diploma in radiography, we moved to Section 11 PJ near the University Hospital, because I got a job in University Hospital, so is my sister, so easier for us to just go to University Hospital. Then my father also came down, he had his one room for himself, usually, with all his...
So I remember this room, I remember this house the most.
He has put the shelves right up to the ceiling, with all his books everywhere, all right? And in the center he had these three cupboards.
Yes.
In the center around, and then his spring bed is one side, and then he had his master table, all right, which I unfortunately had to discard it because it all got damaged. So that was a writing table for him, from those days.
So till the end he was handwriting every book.
Yeah. He didn't have a computer, he didn't have a
Typewriter.
Everything is done by these girls from the University of Malaya who volunteer to do the work after their working hours, not during working hours.
Wow.
So they do it and bring it to my father. That was life in Kuala Lumpur before moving to
I remember his attitude towards me anyway, which I like to tell my side of this my memory of this man with the books and the man. Of course, I actually wasn't much of a reader as a child. I still don't read novels and fiction, and my uncle, your father would always come and give me books, and in a way I feel that there was some sort of intangible sort of attraction. My father thinks it's because I looked a little bit like his brother, my father's brother, who was very close to your father, Raja, and who passed away quite early. But for whatever reason, there was some sort of attraction, some sort of special, I don't know, something. And he gave me these books, and I don't think I read many of them. As a child, you would give these things, and I don't think I would read, but to pay much attention. But somewhere along the way, when I started getting interested more seriously in art, much later, the Kumarasamy book came, Transformation of Nature in Art. And I remember how your father impressed that this was a very important book if you're interested in art. And this is the center, almost the center of my whole understanding of art and my way of thinking about art. And after that, you know, your father is a very modest man, right? Now he's a scholar, he's a scribe, he's a bibliographer, but he never presented himself as an intellectual. He always, he would all...
He is very simple and humble. He never, no, and people say just laugh at it and accept it.
Yeah.
Right, that sort of person. He doesn't argue or try to condemn.
Win an argument or make a point.
No.
But what I remember, something like, you know, this is Kumarasamy. I've written about him. I mean, I'm not really remembering. I'm just sort of trying to give an impression of what my memory is. I don't fully understand this man's work. It's so difficult and so important.
Right.
Maybe one day you will, you know.
Right.
And I myself have to say that I've been reading and reading. Some books I've read, you know, I've read 10 times and I haven't gone past the first chapter. Some of it is very difficult, very difficult. So your father's work was not so much about going into the work, the difficult, especially the later metaphysical work and interpreting it.
Yeah.
Your father worked around the work. He looked for extracts from the work, he looked for letters about the work, he placed the work so that other people who might know better than him could read and develop the knowledge.
Right.
And when he handed a book to me, it was with the hope that I would understand better than him. And I think when he produced all this work, he wasn't trying to keep anything and be the master of Kumarasamy or be the keeper of that knowledge. He was actually offering it up. I feel that what he gave to me was like that, you know. And I think he meant it, and he did that with his whole production,
Right.
all his books.
You know, he wrote one book called Who is this Kumarasamy?
Yes.
Right? He wrote it for the sake of children and young adults to understand who is Kumarasamy. Kumarasamy, you want people to know who Kumarasamy is, right? What he has done to the world, what he has done to the culture, the Indian culture especially, which he took it from the east to the west. That is the most important factor. That's how today, if you look at the world, you have a lot of Indian culture in the west, right? People playing sitars, playing all sorts of things, right?
Bharatanatyam.
Bharatanatyam and various other aspects of the East.
Yes. I mean, in fact, as an art historian, which is what his first contribution, first major contribution was to the archaeology and the history of Indian art.
Yeah.
Right? And he interpreted it in a new way. And along with a few others, I think like Havel, you know, there's a few other scholars of Indian art who transformed the understanding of it from artifacts, you know, Hindu, like primitive artifacts, to fine works of art. Right. From the ethnography museum to the fine art museum. So they allowed the Western audiences to see these works as aesthetically on par with the Western productions. So, like, you know, in the beginning they would interpret Hindu icons as many-headed, beastly, you know, artifacts. And by the time we come along, my generation comes along, we understand Chola bronzes on par with the highest, you know, Greek Hellenistic bronzes. That transformation was, you know, partly Kumarasamy's. That's what you're saying, Kumarasamy's work. And but then beyond that, he went deeper than that understanding of it as beauty. He went deep into the metaphysics, how to interpret the form,
right,
in terms of theology, ethics, metaphysics, cosmology, physics, right, and the Dance of Shiva, right, the book, The Dance of Shiva, about the Shiva Nataraja.
The Dance of Shiva was written by Kumarasamy.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yes. I'm speaking about Kumarasamy's contribution,
right,
and the idea that Kumarasamy went from, first of all, transforming the artifact into an art piece, and then turning our understanding of the art piece beyond art into the sacred, into the cosmic. So he went all the way, he brought it all the way, he gave it to the art world, and then he took it away from the art world and gave it to the world of higher forms. Right. So he went on a journey, actually, I think, and we can follow him on that journey. And your father was a tracker, let's say, tracking that journey, logging that journey, marking the pathways so that those who can follow, you know, like a Sherpa, let's say. Like your father was like a Sherpa or Kumarasamy, carrying the load so that other people can follow the track.
Right.
You know, and for me, certainly, he gave it to me in my hand, literally, he put the book in my hand and said, this is important. And you know, his books were always in the house. But I think the world of Kumarasamy scholarship is beginning to see that he did that for everybody, not just for his relatives, not just for the Malaysians or the Ceylonese especially. He saw it as a community thing, right? A community property. But he also saw it as a world property.
Right.
And that's why I asked you that question about what's it like at home, because there is a consequence at home for his sacrifice.
You see, we leave him alone to do his work because you can't go and disturb him because he is focused in concentrating on some proper thing. He'll tell us, don't disturb me or you know,
just go
away or something like that, you know. So we just avoid. Only my mother at finance, she'll go and ask him for finance at the right time, breakfast, at morning breakfast time or evening when he's more relaxed, right? But not during his working time when he's focused on his work, research and other things, right?
Yeah, and I remember his pipes, he's always had a pipe,
right.
And his hat, which we have, you know, in this exhibition, we still have, you've saved it.
He reads a lot, you know? He'll be sitting in the deck chair in his room, by his bed, reading some articles or books, and then trying to get some materials for his next book or for his research work and all these things. It's very interesting, you know. So we can't go and disturb him, no.
It's like somebody in meditation, right?
Right,
somebody
right.
deep inside, you can't go near, right? You
Sometimes you continue working till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. or you'll go and sleep early, 9, 10 o'clock you go and sleep, but get up at 4 a.m. in the morning to continue his work, right? 4 a.m. and you work till about 6:37, then you have a quick shower and get ready for
work, school. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the objects. We mentioned the pipes.
Yeah.
You say there were lots more, but they were given away to his friends and people who...
He's a churut and pipe smoker. Early days he used to smoke churut. He never smoked tobacco or cigarettes, no way. Right? Basically churut and pipes. Right? And churut he smoked is what that's the Indian cigars like.
With a little blue, is it a white and blue paper?
I can't remember the name of it. Kuzuram what? Yarn what? Something like kind of...
the brand.
The brand. So he smoked that, but after some time he gave up and he was smoking tobacco in a pipe. And he got a good collection of tobacco pipes because we used to buy pipes for his birthdays and for his happy occasions, you know. And he would season it himself, you know, he must season a pipe before he smoke. He will season it, he knows how to season it and then he smokes the pipe. Eventually, one by one, he chuck it off or gave it away to people, sometimes as souvenirs. Some of the students will ask him, sir, can I have one of your pipes? And he'll give it to them as a remembrance. Right? Finally left with 2 or 3 pipes, which I still have it, and with a rack. A small rack with the 3 pipes. And then he got his tobacco container, right? Which is like it's nice, it's like a little hut-like thing, in the shape of a hut.
And so Nusantara, something from the region, right?
Right,
Something.
right.
And then of course the other artifact that we've, amongst the things you've saved, I thought would be good in the show, to show his connection with his religion, his belief,
Right.
his practice, his daily ritual.
Right.
The metal bowl in which he kept his vibhuti, his holy ash. Right?
Right.
So that's interesting, right? His habits, his daily habits, included some form of prayer, acknowledgement of the
Right.
sacred in the daily ritual.
Right.
He always had a little discreet mark,
Yes.
vibhuti mark on his forehead.
Right. Right.
But not a temple.
Actually,
temple
that bowl, is a Clinton silverware, bowl with a tripod stand there. He had it because somebody passed it to him long ago. So as a souvenir, he keeps it in his room, and then he puts the vibhuti, the holy ash inside. And every morning after his quick shower, he puts it on. Sometimes his bathing is a bit not routine, He's sometimes have in the morning, sometimes afternoon, sometimes evening, like that. So he's quite happy. But we can't tell him why you're having a bath now. Why can't have it in the morning or evening? No, he feels like having it, he'll have it. I remember once I went to Singapore and I left my nephew and niece to look after. I don't know whether to mention this or not.
We can,
Huh?
we can edit it out if it's not suitable. We can leave it in if it's okay.
So I went out to Singapore and this nephew and niece were looking after him. And what he wanted was roti canai or prata, right? He would have it for breakfast, he'd have it for lunch, he'd have it for dinner, right? Prata is not good for him because it's got excess of uric acid in it, So when I came back, his hands and legs were swollen up. All the joints were swollen up. And he can't hold anything, so it'd be fed. So I had to take him to the doctor and bring him back, and then the doctor said, give him this medication, and he gave me some medication, antibiotics and all this thing. But I had to bathe him, I had to feed him, I had to do everything for him, for a few days. That was the last straw I think I had to do for him.
And I mean, so we talked about the pipes, the tobacco container, the vibhuti, the holy ash, but of course the most precious artifact is still in your possession is the remaining piece from Kumaraswamy, his hat.
Oh.
His hat, and there used to be the gown, Kumaraswamy's academic regalia, his gown as well, right?
Right. Actually, the gown and the hat was from the University of London, right?
When he got his geology degree, science degree?
Yes, something like that, right? So
Kumaraswamy's.
So Kumaraswamy handed that to my father by post, alright, and my father had it. And he was told to send it to Jaffna University. So my father sent the robes to Jaffna Library because they said
Jaffna,
they said it's better to have it in the library than in the university. So they had it in the library in Jaffna. Then when the Civil War started, the library was burned down and the gown too was burned down. So were the books which my father sent to the library. So lucky for him, we still have the hat here, which was supposed to be sent to Jaffna sooner or later, all right? And otherwise, other than that, I don't know.
I think we're just displaying a few items like that, right? The 3 cabinets, which actually there's a 4th cabinet in there. We're showing 3 out of 4 cabinets.
Right.
We're showing a few of his pipes, 2 containers, just to give a token, not to overemphasize his personal story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's here in this video. Yes, we're discussing it, but we don't want to make a shrine to him or anything like that. Family photos. Tell us about the hat rack, the coat rack, because that's a story of the kind of Ceylon-Malaya connection, which is an interest of your father too.
My father has got a coat rack which originated from Sri Lanka. In fact, from his father, right? Sabavipala. So when my father came over to Malaysia, he brought it along with him with his other things, right? Those days we used to bring a lot of things from Sri Lanka to Malaysia for our own personal use, not to sell, but for our own personal use. And this rack was with him, and I remember him using it in Kuantan.